Breaking news here on Dolphins Today. Bobby Wagner, one of the best linebackers in the National Football League, has been released by the Rams. It will be effective when the new league year begins here in a couple weeks, but the Rams are going to release Bobby Wagner. This coming from Adam Schefter right now. Rams and 9-time All-Pro linebacker Bobby Wagner mutually agreed Thursday to part ways. Source tells ESPN. Rams need more cap space, and Wagner wants to win. He will now be a notable part of this year's free agent class. And you have to believe that the Dolphins are going to make a run here at Bobby Wagner. The Dolphins need some linebacker help. It is crazy that Bobby Wagner is going to be out and available in free agency. When I woke up this morning, I did not think this was a possibility, but Adam Schefter saying that the two sides, the Rams and Wagner, mutually agree to part ways. Wagner wants to win. The Rams want some more cap space. Well, Wagner, you have a great opportunity to win under new defensive coordinator Vic Fangio in Miami. Now, should the Dolphins sign Bobby Wagner? Y for yes, in for no, down in the comment section. Go down, let me know, should the Dolphins sign Bobby Wagner? Now, it's worth noting, at least it's my understanding up to this point, when the news is breaking as we speak, that this is different from the Derek Carr situation. The Rams are going to release him when the new league year begins. They're not releasing him today, so he's not going to be able to sign with a new team until free agency begins here in the middle of March. Taking a look at the current Dolphins linebacker situation, you have 5 linebackers that are free agents. Landon Roberts, who led the team in tackles this past year as a free agent. AVG, Duke Riley, Sam McGuave, and Melvin Ingram. So the linebacker position is a really big need for Miami this offseason. You need some help at this position. It is a top 5 team need. We've been talking about maybe going out and signing Tremaine Edmonds. We've been talking about TJ Edwards and some other guys in free agency, Levante David as well. But now, I'm like, it's Bobby Wagner or bust. You should sign Bobby Wagner, who has been an all-pro for the past 9 straight years. He was PFF's highest graded linebacker this past season with 140 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 5 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. So there was not really a drop-off. A lot of people were like, well, maybe in LA he's not going to be as good in Seattle. He was just as good, if not better. Taking a look at the numbers the last couple of years. In Seattle, in 2021, 170 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 5 pass breakups, 1 pick. The season prior, 138 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 8 pass breakups. And then in 2019, and when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the durability. He's played in every single game the past 4 seasons. That is what you want. You want guys that are going to be available every single day to help this defense out. Breaking news. We're filming this during Dolphins Live. Breaking news. The Rams have released Bobby Wagner, and I'm already seeing all over Twitter that the Dolphins are expected to be a contender for who is now the best defensive player available in free agency. And we're always going to have you covered with Dolphins news when it breaks. So be sure to go down and subscribe to the channel. We bring you daily Dolphins content. We do not miss a day. Even when I was out of town last week, there were still videos going out when I was out of town that we pre-filmed. We're always going to have your back when it comes to Dolphins news. So go down and subscribe to the channel right now. Shiesty Miami 305, as we're taking questions live here, says, how about Bobby Wagner and Jalen Ramsey to Miami? Be crazy. I mean, let's say Wagner signs and then Ramsey requests a trade, which is very possible. I think there's going to be a lot of change in LA this season. They had a very disappointing season. They desperately need to clear cap space. Bobby Wagner and Jalen Ramsey are both very expensive. So maybe they'll want to move on from those 2 guys. But if you sign both those guys, Miami has to figure out a way to clear cap space. Probably restructure Tyreek's contract, Chubb's contract, and cut Byron Jones. I mean, I think those are the first 3 steps you would need to do. But it's very possible that the Dolphins are going to be contenders for both Wagner and Ramsey. Again, Wagner's going to be available when the new league year begins. Ramsey is still with the Rams, but is in a lot of trade rumors. In fact, PFF listed 5 trade predictions, and one of their predictions was Ramsey to the Miami Dolphins. Joseph Walker, how much do you think Bobby Wagner will cost? He's not going to be cheap. What'd you say, Chugs?
His last contract 5 years, $50 million from the Rams. They just released him. He was getting $10 million a year. Will
That's a
he
steal.
ask for $10 million?
That's an absolute steal. $10 million a year? Oh, you need to make this happen, Chris Greer. In the words of Travis Scott, pick up the phone, baby. Get this. I've been listening to that album a lot recently, but get this done, Chris Greer. Get Bobby Wagner to Miami. And I was actually talking to a Dolphins fan I ran into this morning about Chris Greer. He was asking me, what are your thoughts on Chris? I'm not really sold. Here's what I said. I look around the league, and I see a lot of GMs that are not aggressive. You have to tip your cap to Chris Greer because he is a home run hitter. He is always going to swing for the fences. He went out, and he got Teron Armstead. He went and got Bradley Chubb. He went and got Tyreek Hill. When a big-name player is available, he's going to, at the very least, inquire, and I do expect him to make a run for Bobby Wagner. His linebacker is a huge need. And you got to think as well that with Vic Fangio taking over as DC, your pitch to players is going to be like, you can play for one of the best defensive minds of this era. That's certainly something that the Dolphins are going to be saying to some of these free agents. Carter Reimer. Could Wagner be a good influence to Channing Tindall? Yeah, that's a really good point. Taking a look back at this depth chart, Tindall was behind Duke Riley at Guavin. He really did not play much as an inside linebacker on this team. And for those that were subscribed last April, I mean, you all saw my reaction to when the Dolphins drafted Tindall. I took him in my mock draft the day before the draft. I really wanted Channing Tindall, and they got him. But unfortunately, we did not see a whole lot of him on the field. So hopefully some of these free agents leaving, like I do not expect Riley or Guavin to be back. So that'll open up the door for Tindall, and he can learn from a guy like Bobby Wagner. I think that's a great point. Jason, what's up? Saying Wagner would be an excellent piece with championship experience. Yeah, good point. He has won a championship. Sign him up pronto. Yes, get this done. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of teams inquiring about Wagner. He's going to get a significant amount of interest from around the league. And again, he is not available right now to sign. Normally, guys that get released, that happens before free agency, are able to sign right away. But Wagner is going to get released when the new league year ends. This is coming from Adam Schefter at this hour, which is why you subscribe. We're always going to have you covered. But he said Bobby Wagner started all 17 games this past season for the Rams and was PFF's highest grade linebacker. Wagner was voted All-Pro for the 9th straight year. I'm on Dolphins Twitter right now. Dolphins Twitter is buzzing about this. At Fins for Life is saying Bobby Wagner would make this Dolphins defense bleeping elite. At Ellie Generico saying Bobby Wagner, you are a Miami Dolphin. Dolphins Twitter is already freaking out about this, and I do believe that the Dolphins are going to make a very, very strong play, Bobby Wagner. You'd have to figure out the money, but with Wagner's last contract being for $10 million a year, I think this makes this extremely manageable to pull off. And the great thing about it is you don't have to trade for him now. You don't have to trade for him like you would have to trade for Jalen Ramsey, for example. You can sign him when free agency begins in about 3 weeks' time for free, which is awesome. Let me know what you're thinking about this on Twitter, at WillScott44. We'll be talking more about this on Dolphins Today, so be sure to go down and subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. It is so incredibly important for you guys right now to turn on your noties because we are going to see news like this break daily. Subscribe so you don't miss any news. I'm out of breath. I'm so excited. So you do not miss any videos at Dolphins News on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell.